Have you ever had a parent correct you, maybe in front of your brother or your sisters? Have you ever had a teacher or somebody correct you when it needed to be said? How did that feel? It's not always pleasant, but it's necessary. I think years ago, an experience I had with a Toastmasters group. If you're not familiar with the group, it's a group designed to help people get better at their public speaking skills. And I had joined this group or thought about joining this group to improve my skills, be able to speak publicly. It's very difficult for me and something I was still trying to improve in. As I was doing some investigations, I went to this group. It was the first time I had been there, so I was a visitor to their organization. And so I decided to see what it was like. So I had the total anticipation that I was going to be in attendance, watching, not to be participating. Well, part of the meeting, as the meeting evolved, they had people that would come up to the front and they did this just impromptu speaking where they give them a subject like at the time I visited, I still remember this. It was years and years ago. The subject was, you're a reporter, you're on the scene of a major accident or emergency, you're reporting on the details you're seeing. And two or three people had gone up before me and they were adding to the story. And then suddenly they called on me. And I was terrified. It's like, are you kidding? In front of all these people trying to make up stuff as you go. Uh, it was intense. So I got up there and I like just fumbled through it. It was very, very hard. There was a lot of ums and a lot of filler words. I didn't know what to say, and so I was just trying to fill in time, trying to think under pressure, which was difficult, and it didn't come out well. What really surprised me is that as I was done, they had a person that was evaluating each of the speakers. And so when they got to evaluations of me, I thought they'd say, "Hey, we'll give this guy just a pass. He's a visitor. We're good." But no, they didn't. He's like, I don't remember the numbers, but it felt like he, yeah, you gave us like 57 ums, 100 other filler words. You didn't use the word of the day. This is how your performance was. And I thought, man, do you want me to come back or not? That was just painful. And then you told me exactly how it was. And I thought, well, if I had been in front of a bunch of friends, would they have said something like, "Oh yeah, great job. You know, I think you're well on your way. Maybe you should have your own talk show. I think you did a great job," and all this flattering lies. Of the two evaluations, of course, the first would have been much better. It's a starting point. You have to be honest with somebody. They really messed up here. This is what you should think about changing and improving. You have to have that. You have to have the truth. You have to have honesty. Some people live their whole lives as a lie. They have friends around them that support them in that lie. They ask, well, how do you feel about my life? What do you think about the decisions I'm making in my life? And if you're one of those nice friends, "Oh, yeah, I don't see any problems here. I agree with your decisions. It's not your fault. Really, it's the other person and how they're acting. They're acting crazy. It's them, it's not you." But deep down, you know that it's a lie. They're lying to you. And maybe what your friend is looking for is some sort of comfort blanket. "Hey, you're good. Yeah, I know your conscience is telling you you're screwing up, but don't listen to that. I think you're good too." You know, it's this relationship, this unspoken relationship. "Hey, if you don't call out my crap, I won't call out all the crap I see in you." We have to rise above that. We have to break the cycle, help them grow. And yeah, they could say, "Here's some things that you're doing that maybe you don't see. Maybe you're trying to live exactly how you think Jesus would in your life." And as you give correction, they're like, "Hey, I appreciate." Hopefully their response is, "Thank you for that. But here's some things in your life that you might look at too, because they're messed up. Unfortunately, most people don't operate like that. They want to have this relationship. If you give any correction at all, they want like this positive ratio of I give 10 compliments to one suggestion. I give you 10 attaboys to one you screwed up. That's not how it works. That's not the way things are. What is that ratio? Do you have a ratio? It should be take all the correction you can get from wherever you can get it. It'll make you better, stronger, healthier mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that. Let's talk a little bit about Jesus, the perfect example of being honest and true. He is truly the way, the truth, and the life. We cannot go where he is unless we become more like him with his help. He was the perfect example of being honest in his actions, words, thoughts, feelings. Everything was aligned to what God saw was the best in each situation. But let's focus on just one characteristic, one character attribute that he had, his honesty and his truth. He always told the truth all of the times and all of the places he went. This quality was hard to comprehend, how he did what he did, and how I see there's a big difference in how he acted and how I think I would have acted in situations. I'm trying to improve on that, trying to change that. Maybe you see Jesus as this soft-spoken, gentle voice, never cause discord. He's just got this mission of peace. He only brings good things. If you were standing in his presence, you'd only feel love from him. He's nice, he's kind, he's, have a nice day kind of guy. He fits in with the niceness culture that we have. He would never say anything that would hurt my feelings. I think you understand that's total BS. I mean, let's look at what he did and what he said in the scripture. He even said in Matthew 10, 34 to 36, I am not come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and his daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foe shall be they of his own household. So he didn't come to make peace with everybody. He came to show us the right way. And sometimes that even affects different opinions in our own home, in our own families, about what is right and what is correct. And your parents are a great source of correction and helping you align yourself better with God. Jesus was truly the perfect priest. He was a surgeon. He cut out the truth from the error. He said, these things are good in your life. These things take a look at, they're not good. Get rid of them. We're going to cut away all this stuff. He declared what was right, regardless of what people thought. He was honest and true in all his words, thoughts, and feelings and actions. He even corrected many times these religious, church-going types of people, and even his disciples were corrected, and they were shocked and uncomfortable with what he said many times. Master, do you not know that you offended these people? After Jesus had been preaching for more than a year and doing many miracles, he was invited to go to dinner where some Pharisees were, many Pharisees. And what do you think their motivation was to invite him after hearing about his miracles, maybe listening to his teaching, being witnesses to his miracles? Maybe they had a let's learn more attitude. I don't think so. Their attitude was, how do we collect data and information? How do we get a way, a reason to not follow him? What fault can we find with this guy? We're going to find the dirt so we can excuse ourselves. We don't want to live the way he lives. So it's got to be him, not us. So in Luke 11:37 through the end of the chapter, there's this amazing interchange between him and these Pharisees. He was in the presence of some of the most influential business and religious leaders of the town. And yet he became probably the most offensive dinner guest ever recorded in history. First, he refused to wash his hands. And then he told them they were all hypocrites and fools many times. You fools, you hypocrites, you clean the outside, but you're evil and wicked on the inside. So he purposely didn't wash his hands so he could point out their hypocrisy. And he continued, and this is just kind of summarizing, but he said, you love the status of those high VIP seats in the temple and the churches. You love to sit on the stand and judgment of the people. You love to call each other by your church names, rabbi or elder or priest. You are like graveyards. You've got this well manicured outside with the nice grass and the flowers and the headstone. But on the inside, you're full of death and decay and rotting bodies. On the outside, you look righteous. Holy cow. Talk about honesty and almost fighting words. But it was the truth. It had to be said. It needed to be said. But what would most of us do in that setting? We'd probably start thinking, just in the very base of actions, our thoughts would be, look at all of the good that I can do, if I'm called to be part of their church, and, if I play my cards right, obviously I'm moving up in the world. I got invited to this fancy dinner. But if I play those cards right, I can have a new job. I can have lots of money. I can use, this meeting, these people that I've gotten to know to benefit myself personally. He never did that. He told them how wicked they were. He always put their needs above his needs. He never did anything for his own benefit. His mission was to show what God would do in his place. You might be burning bridges with men, but in doing so, you're building a bridge with God. And which of the two bridges will last forever? Men's influence and power will come and go with the wind. But if you have favor and influence of God in your life, that will never fail you. He will always be there. That is the relationship you need to focus on. Maybe you say, well, he would never speak that way to me. If the shoe fits and you are out of alignment, yes, of course, that's what you could expect. So there's another story in Matthew 21, 28 through 31. And he's telling a parable. Jesus says, what do you think? And he's in front of the Pharisees again, these leaders, chief priests. What do you think? A certain man had two sons, and he came to the first and said, son, go to work today in my vineyard. And he answered, said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. Which of the two did the will of the Father? The priests, chief priests and elders replied, the first one. Jesus said to them, I assure you, I most solemnly say to you that tax collectors and prostitutes will get to heaven, get to the kingdom of heaven before you. Would you tell someone that? I can't say that. I mean, I know they're evil. I know they don't do what's good in the sight of God. They do what's right for them. It's all about the power and the money and the status and the glory of this world. How in the world do you even say that? Prostitutes and tax collectors will get to heaven before you. You are so wicked. um, Hard to comprehend. Just the blunt honesty. You have to be exactly as Jesus is to live with him. You have to live in a place of perfect honesty. A truly righteous person will take the corrections that you give as an opportunity to improve. They don't need this 10-to-1 ratio. I challenge you to take the correction that comes from those above and to give correction to those as you see fit. For it's like in Proverbs 3:11, my son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as the Father, the Son in whom he delighteth.